Hello, my friends. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. My name is Jason, and this is the Outstanding Life Show. In here, we talk about things that are recovery related, we talk about addiction, we talk about mindfulness. There's quite a few things we talk about in our short little time here. I've been focusing on trying to make this show better. Some of the things I'm doing are getting the show notes up and ready, and I'm having them preloaded. So if you go ahead and you're watching on Facebook and you type notes in the comments below, we'll have the notes sent out to you. Or if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and type in the link outstanding.video/notes, and then we'll have the notes sent out to you again. Or if you want to go check out the blog I have everything just in chronological order, and it's outstanding.video/blog. And then it's just a chronological order. You'll see all the posts and all the videos, and then I have it all timelined out for you. Okay, so jumping into the Outstanding Life show, I wanted to go and try something different with season 2. We're going and having short form episodes, and we're having even shorter form on Instagram. But when it comes to these episodes, we're going nice and light, 10-15 minutes, nothing crazy. But we're going to go into step 1 for the month of January, and then we'll have a whole month dedicated to that. And then when we finish up January, move into February, we'll go into step 2, so on and so forth. So the 12 months, we'll go over the 12 steps. And then for this episode, this show notes, I've got, here, let me show you. Let me merge over. And then here we have today's show notes talk about not being alone. And so for the not being alone part, for just jumping into that personal part, like I had, for the longest time, I'd felt that I was alone in the sense that no one would be able to understand me or connect with me, that it was completely, that I was the only one that had thought of this. I was the only one that had come up with these ideas or living through these challenges. And in me thinking that way, in me having that limited linear approach to life, I ended up only experiencing life in a certain way. And what I mean by that is by choosing to focus only on the next 3 feet in front of me, I wasn't focusing on anything that was more than 4 feet away. And in those 3 feet, I was only seeing this path about I was alone, no one understands me, I'm not adding value. And when I'm repeating to that myself every step I'm taking, that's not really a fulfilling, outstanding life experience. That's not really a spot where I'm feeling heartfelt and I don't feel like I'm contributing. And when I'm living life in that sense, I'm really feeling lost. And I go into this in the notes where I'm saying I don't feel like I have a sense of belonging. And it wasn't until I went to a meeting, it wasn't until I went to a group that I was able to go and feel like I was contributing. And it sounds weird to say contributing, but hold on, I'm just going to move the camera. It sounds weird that I didn't feel like I was contributing, but I wanted a sense where I wanted to have a feeling of reassurance. And I don't know if you can connect with that message or if it speaks to you in any way. I do want to celebrate my audience because you guys are really amazing. I wake up and I get these heartfelt messages from you, and that's really cheering me on. You're sharing that there's some of the things I'm sharing are connecting, and there's a lot of questions you ask, and based on those questions is I'm responding to them. So thank you for sending those messages. Thank you for taking the time to think of me. It really means a lot. And not to mention the hearts and the shares and the I can't believe some of these things you share with me, and I just think that that's amazing. I think that I'm ever so thankful about this, and I want to go and share something with you. And here, I'm just going to shout out real quick, and this is from Iris Gassenbauer. And Iris shared, and this is on the blog, on my latest blog, she had said, "Thank you for sharing that post. You are strong and courageous. Of that, I'm sure. All the best to you." And I was like, holy cow. That's huge. That's amazing. Like, I thought that was pretty cool, but I didn't think it was gonna be. Not that I didn't think it was gonna be like that, but holy cow! I definitely thought it was. I mean, I thought it was fun when I was making these, but I didn't think it was gonna take on its own. Hold on, sorry, I'm just taking this. I want to show you another one. And this one is for on Twitter, because I tweet these out. My addiction, they had they went and they liked my video, and it sounds silly. Oh, they like my video. That's cool. No, it's when they start showing up more than once. It's when they go and they take the time out of their day. This one really got to me. And this one here, I'll show you. This one, now I've removed the name for obvious reasons, but it says, thank you for posting your videos and sharing your knowledge and experience. Sometimes it's hard for people to watch because facing the truth is the hardest part. I'm so proud of everything you've done for yourself, and I'm honored to call you a friend. Life is hard to cope with sometimes, but you took the higher road, and I'm sure it's a struggle every day. I respect everything you've been doing and everything you've been through and continue to do. It needs to be said. And holy cow, like this is amazing. Like, this is huge. I'm just having fun with the camera. I'm just talking about what I think needs to be said, and that I'm at first I was a little standoffish about how I should approach this, and I thought I'm just gonna go and I'm just gonna turn the camera on, and I put a lot of hard work into this, yes. And someone told me, and it looks easy. Trust me, this is not easy, like the production side. And it's not easy to even get up in front of my audience and then share publicly to the world. But I make it a commitment to do this every day. And I wanted to have this for 30 days to talk about step 1, step 2 in February. And then we're going to keep going as we move forward. My goal is to have all 12 steps over the next 12 months. And I'm having fun so far. And for the first 25 days, I felt like I was just talking with myself. But I keep getting messages, which turned out to be every week. Now it's turned into every day. And now this is huge. So I want to say thank you to you, my audience. It really means a lot to me that you're here and that you see value in this. Okay, now jumping back into the content. If you're new here, my name is Jason. And this is the Outstanding Life Show. Sorry, we talk about recovery, we talk about mindfulness, we talk about addiction. If this is something you're interested in and you want to know more, go ahead and type notes in the comments and we'll have it sent out to you if you're watching on Facebook. But if you're watching the replay over on YouTube, definitely go ahead and visit the link down below, outstanding.video/notes. Or you can go check out the blog and it's all there too. But when it comes to being alone, I was saying this earlier, when I didn't feel like I connected with anyone and I didn't feel like I had a sense of belonging. And it wasn't until I went to a group, I went to a meeting, that I started to appreciate that I wasn't alone. There were people out there who were suffering just like me, people who were going through the same trial as I am. And, they were doing it in their own way, but we were still in the program together. And that's what I wanted to draw attention to, was the program. Sorry, we clipped there. And with the program, we end up going and we end up having a sense of, I want to say togetherness, but we call it a fellowship. We call it camaraderie, or in rehab, we call it a brotherhood. And with a brotherhood, there was 50 guys, and we ended up getting to know each other over the course of 9 weeks. We've become really, really close. And having that support group, for me, it changed not only how I approached recovery. I mean, one, I entered the world of recovery, but it had changed my mindset in how I thought of these problems. Because earlier I shared I was trying to deal with things on my own, and the way I was dealing with it wasn't working. The way I was trying to manage it wasn't working. And as a result, I was barely getting through. I was white-knuckling my way through life. And I wasn't that successful at all. I was barely getting to the next weekend. But when when I ended up going to rehab on that first day, you're the new guy. You're the person that shows up and you're the greeter at the door. And when you walk in, you're greeted by somebody who just arrived the day before you. Every day there's a new guy that shows up. So the next day, I was no longer the new guy. There was somebody else that was there. And when that happened, I ended up going and got to be the greeter the following day. But what was common was that there was always somebody who had been there longer than us, someone else that had been in the program longer than us. And when I had somebody that went and greeted me, it was great to let me know that I wasn't alone, to let me know that I was in a safe place. And that was something everybody had shared. When I shook everyone's hand on the first day, they all told me welcome. And I was in a safe place and I'm in the right place. And it wasn't until like the 30th guy that I was like, holy crap, okay, this is a big conspiracy, because that's where my mindset was at. Or maybe this is actually the right place. Maybe this is the right place for me to be. And it doesn't matter how much sober time we have. Earlier I talked about I had so many days and somebody else had more days than me. It didn't matter how many days we had. What mattered is that we got together in groups, we got together in meetings, and we ended up having a sense of, there would be like a meeting in the morning. We'd have a morning meditation. We would have class, like a group setting in a class, and then like sober school. But we would end up going and having an afternoon meeting, and then we'd have an off-site meeting. And there was never the same guys in the same meetings. There was always randomly generated. And so you weren't in the same meetings with the same guys all day. It was different meetings and different guys all day. Well, there was that off-site meeting in the evening that we could go to. But still, through that, who I was when I went to the first meeting is not the same person who I was when I finished the meetings. And by finished the meetings, and I'm saying when I completed rehab. Because when I ended up going into the meetings, I found out through sharing and opening up that I wasn't alone. I wasn't the same person suffering the same way. There was other people suffering in their own way, but as with similar challenges. They were having similar battles of their own. It might have been in different, I don't want to say degrees, but it was in a different setting. We had the same elements in our lives, like there was ourselves struggling, and then there was these inner conflicts. This was the addiction, but how we managed it was individual. What brought us together to those meetings, like what led us to the meetings, was individual and unique. But what makes us stay is that we had a safe place to share. It was the group, it was the community, and it was that passing of knowledge, not in the tribal sense, but it was in that reassuring sense. Because up until the time I went to a meeting, I thought I was the only one that had these thoughts. I thought I was the only one that doubted myself and hesitated on making decisions. I thought I was alone, and I was far from it. Like there's 400 meetings a week in the city of Calgary alone. So if I didn't like one meeting, there was going to be 399 others to go and try out. And it's amazing how much support is in the room. And hearing other people's experiences from me, it helped reassured me that not only was I in a safe place, but I was also, not just with the right people, not just in the safe place, but also that I was contributing. That even if I was sharing, it took me a while to kind of open up. I want to say it took me a good 2 or 3 weeks before of going to meetings 4 or 5 times a day. And it wasn't until I don't know how many meetings that is, but we ended up going, and the being told that I'm in a safe place is one thing, but showing me that I was in a safe place was another. It took me a few weeks before I got to that spot where, you know what if I am in a safe place? And what if my ego doesn't belong? And what if I can actually get some recovery out of this? And what would happen if I actually did let my walls down and started sharing? And I started laughing with them when they were laughing and sharing their humorous stories. because they would share some of the funniest stories that when it comes to addiction and some of the challenges we face. These, I don't want to say inside baseball, but there are certain things that we can identify with. We as addicts and alcoholics can identify with that I want to say a normal person doesn't have the same aspects with. And that's where being laughing at each other and laughing at ourselves is a huge part of recovery. Not in the sense of making fun of one another, but it's in the sense of being strong enough that you can laugh at yourself, laugh at your past, laugh at your mistakes, and pick yourself up off the floor and move forward. When you hear when I heard the stories about somebody making amends with their family and their friends and some of the successes they had, I wanted that in my life. Not in a sense of envy, but them showing me that they did it gave me the confidence that I could do it too. It was almost like a peer pressure, but it like in a super good way, in a way that we could lift each other up. Like if I was alone thinking these thoughts, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have made amends. I wouldn't have reached out for help. But hearing somebody else tell me that they did it, okay, that changes things. Maybe I can do it too. What would my success story look like? I hope it looks like something like this. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't open to going to a meeting. It took me a long time to, one, reach out for help, but two, there was something that I get from meetings that I can't get anywhere else. Like I can have a conversation with somebody, but that's if I'm talking with my counselor or talking with a sponsor, but if I'm in a group setting, there's a certain communal healing, some sort of cathartic event that takes place, just knowing that in that moment, these 30 guys, these 50 people, we're sober right now, and we're gonna be okay. It's only for an hour, but we're all sober in that 1 hour. And for me, that's huge. Like that's a moving experience. Every city has what's called a central office when it comes to Alcoholics Anonymous. And in Calgary, I went to the head office because I wanted to buy this book. It's the big book, but I wanted to get this cover because it's got like this emblem, and then there's this fancy like coin. I don't know if you can see it. And then I was like, oh, neat. It's got gold and it's got blue. And I was like, that's really cool. And it's got the Serenity Prayer on the top, and I got my little tabs. So it's a fun kind of thing. Like it's the same big book, but I'm putting some bling on it. And what I wanted is I wanted to go, and there was this coin I wanted. And I was like, oh, that's a really nice coin. It's got like some other things and that look really cool. And I asked the guy if I could buy it. And he asked me, he's like, are you 45 years sober? And I'm not 45. I'm not even 40. And I was like, no, I'm not 45 years sober. I'm not even 45 years old. And he's like, oh, okay. Is this coin there? That's for people that have 45 years of sobriety. And I was like, oh, okay. Awkward silence. And I was like, so can I buy it? And he's like, are you sober for 45 years? I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, I'll see you in 45 years. And then I burst out laughing, and he did too. Because it was a humorous thing. It was where we're saying, hey, you know what? All right. And from an accountability standpoint, I can appreciate where he's coming from. He wants to help me get to that 45 years, and not the carrot dangling on the stick, but it's helping me find a way, like a milestone to celebrate, and not to put a looking too forward to something, but as I'm celebrating every day as a win. And if I was on my own, I wouldn't have made it this far. And having a group, having a home group, we call it, gives me that reassurance that I'm not lost, I do belong, and I am adding value. And at first I was having a hard time mapping my thoughts and my feelings or making sense of them. When you remove the drugs, when you remove the alcohol, none of it makes sense. Nothing wants to fit. And it's really hard. I don't know if you can identify with this or if this is something that's making sense, but it wasn't until I found a group that I really found myself. Because as an individual, I was weak, but in a group setting, I became much more because I became united with my new recovery friends, my new sober friends, and I'm ever so grateful now for that program, for this program, and that's the name of today's show title. That I wasn't alone in the program. Okay, so when it comes to this new season 2, I want to try something different, and I want to try a gratitude of the day as well as a action of the day. And for today's gratitude of the day, just before we finish up, is gratitude of the day is today. I am, thanks to the program, I always have someone I can reach out to. So that's today's gratitude of the day. That's where I'm super thankful. I start my day out with gratitude. And here's the action of the day. Today's action of the day is today I will make a list of 3 people, 3, that I could contact if I ever needed help. I'll let them know how much I appreciate them now because I might need them in the future. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out. I really appreciate that. I look forward to seeing you in another video. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. Shoot me a message. Check out another video. In the meantime, you take care and have fun, okay? Bye-bye.